upon the Lord, for He is worthy to be praised.
He is worthy to be praised.
I will call upon the Lord,
I will call upon the
for
Lord,
He is worthy to be
for
praised.
He is worthy to be praised.
So shall I be saved from my enemies.
The Lord,
blessed be the rock,
blessed be the
God of my salvation.
My salvation be exalted.
The Lord, blessed be the rock,
blessed be the
God of my salvation.
God of my salvation be exalted.
Come on. Oh, 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 oh. Call upon the Lord,
will call upon the
for
Lord,
He is worthy to be praised. Come on, you know it now. I will call upon the Lord,
I will call upon the
for
Lord,
He is worthy to be praised.
He is worthy to be praised.
So shall I be saved from my enemies. Blessed be the rock,
blessed be the rock,
God of my salvation.
God of my salvation be exalted.
The Lord reigneth. Blessed be the rock, God of my salvation.
My salvation be exalted.
Hosanna, blessed be the rock, God of my salvation.
My salvation be exalted.
Hosanna, blessed be the rock, God of my salvation.
God of my salvation be exalted.
Be exalted. I know you're at home this morning, but I dare you to join in for this morning. Listen, I don't know what you come to do.
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 I come to clap my hands.
My hands.
I come to clap my hands.
My hands.
I come to do my dance.
My dance.
I come to do my
Do
dance.
my dance.
I don't know what you come to do.
I don't know what
Let's do
you
that
come
again.
to do.
I don't know what you come to do. Come on, ask yourself. Yeah. I don't know what you come to do.
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 I come to leave for joy.
For joy.
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 Come on and put those hands together. There's only one.
There's only one.
Only one God. Only one Savior.
Only one.
Yeah. There's only one.
There's only one.
One God. One praise. Yeah. Listen, this is my favorite part. Listen. He's the Lord over my life.
Lord over
Hey guys, it's Nikea, and I want to welcome you this week to episode 2 of our series, Living Single, Kingdom Principles for Single Living. That is a tongue twister. Now I want you to hop on and like and share this video with all of your people, because this week we're going to be answering questions such as what are the do's and don'ts of dating, what are the purposes of dating, and I'm sure some of us can use a little bit of help in that area. And so we want you to share this with all your people. Now we know that the word guides us into all truth, right? That applies to every aspect of our life, even our singleness. We want you to know that God is concerned about it just as much as you are, and we hope that you can find some sense of community within this series with us. So let's shoot over to Bishop in the panel as we talk about living single.
What are some of the do's and don'ts of dating? And this was asked by a female who is in the 56 and up age range.
Well, that's out of my league. We need to counselor to help us on this one. I don't even know what to do with that one. That's it. They said 56 do's and don'ts of dating.
Yes, sir.
Well, what do y'all think?
I think a very important do.
How old are you, Cedric?
What am I? I'm 34 now, actually.
And she's 56.
I don't know if it matters, though, to be honest.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
I think one of the do's is honest communication, no matter what.
Okay.
I think it's important to be honest.
Okay.
Any other dudes?
Yes. Number one, chivalry is not dead. Be gentle. Treat.
I'm proud of you.
If
I'm proud of you, Josh, on that one. I'm proud of that. That's good.
Thank you.
You ain't saying.
If you're a man, don't let your date open her own car door. Open that for her. Like pick up the check. I'm not saying you can't go halvesies if you want to do that, but treat her like she's your focal point. Treat her like royalty. Be gentle. That's not dead. Be gentle. Be kind. But to Cedric's point, don't be fake either. Like gentleness, kindness, chivalry, that should just be part of who you are. You don't want to put on a show for someone you're interested in, especially if you're interested in actually committing to them and you want a long-term relationship, because eventually they're going to see who you really are. So, and that goes back to self-awareness. Ask yourself, are you ready for a relationship? Can you be selfless? Can you be honest? Can you be trustworthy? And if you can be those things, then that ought to come out of you naturally. So yes, be gentle, be kind, but also be yourself. I would say those are some key do's in a relationship.
I think you need to start how you want to end up. And definitely have your expectations and boundaries already set. I always say there's probably some non-negotiables that you are solid on, that you won't move on. You know, sometimes you change about if you want him to be, maybe 6'5" and he's only 6 feet, stuff like that, or whatever those kind of cases are. If he's a horrible dresser, you don't want to date him. I get it, but those things you can kind of get around. But I do think you have to have some core boundaries and expectations that you're not gonna move on there. But I always say start how you want to end up.
Good.
You don't have any don'ts?
What's a good don't?
Do
I
not.
don't compromise
Go
on
ahead.
your beliefs.
That's good.
Compromise, is that what you said?
Don't compromise on your beliefs.
Oh,
I
okay.
think today there's a lot that's thrown out there that kind of makes you, want to sway left or right. But when you're rooted and grounded in Christ and you know who you are and who you belong to, that's all you need. And you want to find a partner who also is rooted and grounded in Christ as well. So I would say that's a don't. Don't compromise on your beliefs.
What about respect yourself?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
That's essential. Because if you don't respect yourself, he's not going to respect you either.
Right.
Or vice versa.
Yeah, exactly.
What were you going to say, Cedric?
I was going to say, you said, she said, are there any don'ts? I would say it's helpful if you do not compare. Do not compare your situation to your homegirl situation, to your guy. Don't compare it to your friend's experience, because that, I don't even think it matters, to be quite honest.
Right. Right.
They say that comparison is the thief of stealing your joy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, Louis.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there's a couple that I wrote down. Right?
Oh, okay.
Just a couple. So be yourself. Here's what we see a lot in dating is people date with their representative, right? So they send the representative out on all the dates. And then after they feel like they've hooked them, then the real them shows up, right? So I would say a big do is to bring yourself. Be yourself. I think somebody already said that.
Right.
Be yourself, not your representative, right? Be honest and be observant. A lot of times we see things and we disregard it, right? We just kind of like throw it out the window. But you need to be aware. I also think a big do is develop your village. Who's your accountability partners? That's going to work in both helping pull your coattail if that temptation is getting too high and you have intentions, right? Have a little village that can say, oh, you're doing a little bit too much, right? Kind of help you stay on target with your goals, right? But you need a village. That also is important because sometimes when we're under the veil of love and our eye is all screwed over, oxytocin that comes from all the extra hugging and loving on each other, like you're not thinking clearly. And so you need people who know you, the real you. Right. Who can say, like, this person, I don't know, there's some things that I'm getting off of this person and their actions or things that they're saying. It's sounding like he doesn't value you or sounding like she's, out to get you. Like there's just something that's not right that can speak to you to help you see when your eyes are glossed over with love and happiness. Okay. The other thing is be safe. I don't think we always date safely. Sometimes we date recklessly, truthfully. We just go anywhere and do anything. But I do still think that there is a value in being safe. And then believe all information gathered. Right. Whatever you gathered, believe it. Don't say, well, a lot of times we'll hear it and say, well, here's the reason. We try to come up with justifications. Just if it comes to you, take it as it comes. Don't try to make it colorful to get someone else's approval. Believe the information. Red flags are real. Don't want to disregard those things, okay? And then be very clear about your intentions. So slightly about the expectations, but more about your intentions. Like what are your intentions for your romantic life? Where are you trying to go with it? Are you casual? No intentions of making a long-term commitment? Are you looking for a long-term commitment? Are you wanting to build a family? Because those then determine, I think, some of the questions you ask. And then here's my big one, like ask everything. Even the things you say, nope, I can't ask about that. Ask about it all. Not just, are they a Christian? Find out what kind of Christian, because Christian is a blanket. That doesn't mean you all believe the same, right? So ask everything. Ask about sexuality, partners, who you've been with, where have you been? What have you been attracted to? What have you thought about? Ask everything. What kind of parent do you imagine yourself to be, right? How do you think about finances? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then the don't, comparison. Don't be like other people and don't expect them to be like you. A lot of times we want our partners to be to us like we are to others, but that doesn't work. They are them. So you need to learn who they are and not trying to get them to be who you are. Does that make sense? Okay. Good. And don't lie about your struggles. Be honest. Don't put yourself in compromising positions. And don't date like you're married. Date like you're dating.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey.
Thank you. Say that one more time for the people in the back.
You're dating.
Thank you.
Don't try to be who you think they are looking for, right? Sometimes we shape shift. I like superhero movies, and so we kind of shape shift to take on the persona or the attitude or the style. You know, if they're vegan, we want to be vegan for the second. But if you like meat, eat meat. You need to be honest, right? Don't fake it. Be real. Be real with who you are, not who you think they want. Because, you know, I think I get a lot of people who come in and they're devastated if the person doesn't want them, and they see that as a rejection, right? Like they're not wanting to choose me. And yes, that hurts. I don't know anybody that doesn't want to be chosen or feel special or to feel wanted. But sometimes we try to manufacture that. And it just never works because it's not sustainable long term, right? It may work for a moment, but if that relationship goes longer, then that becomes conflict, right? And that conflict is unnecessary. That's what makes it uncomfortable to be around people, because what you're around now is something other than what you thought you were getting, right? So just start off authentic from the beginning and have fun, enjoy dating.
Yes.
Enjoy
Yes.
it. Don't be so serious. Enjoy.
Right. And enjoy every season of it. Be present in dating. I think a lot of people live either in the past or in the future while in a relationship.
Yeah.
Either in the past because of past insecurities, past disappointments, past breakups. So concerned that the relationship they're in now will end up just like the ones from the past. And because of that, they put their guard up, or they start, like to Cedric's point, to compare their current relationship to one from the past, so they can never enjoy what's happening in the present. Or they live in the future. What's going to happen? Are we going to make it? Are we going to get married? What are your long-term goals? Which you should ask. Wait a minute, I don't know if this is going to work. It looks good right now, but it looked good last time, so I don't know if this is going to work in the future. And so your mind is everywhere except the here and the now, the current season. You're never going to get to where you need to be or where you want to be. You don't prioritize where you are now. There's nothing more important for the there and the then than the here and the now. So be present in your relationships.
Yes.
Okay.
Sir.
So this is from someone between the age of 19 and 25, and they say, what is the true purpose of dating?
And there's silence in the room. And there's
It was a male. It was a guy who asked. So I'm interested to hear the guy's perspective. What do you think about dating?
See, I removed the gender. I said the person. I said 19 to 25 person.
Oh. It's male. I read the question.
You flipped the question, Cedric.
I mean, on the
spot. I think there are various. It's not like one singular purpose, right? And I think it would be beneficial if we embrace that in our dating journey, that things can be amicable. Like you can meet someone that you're dating and they become a cool associate, or the connection may even be something that benefits you professionally, but that's not just this singular idea. So I think it's multi-layered, to be honest with you. I think dating is for fun. I think dating helps you learn about yourself. I think that dating helps your worldview. I mean, it's a lot of things. So I think it's various different things. And if we embrace it that way, I think it makes for a more enjoyable experience, to be quite honest with you. I have a harder time with people who come in with like bullet points and boxes to check because, first of all, like, who are you? You like what gives you the authority in a person's life who is an adult to kind of come in and find out if they check your boxes? Like, relax, So I think it's various things, and this is, for me, dating is a really interesting thing because, as Josh alluded to earlier, this is a gray space, and there is no Bible for the space. We see scenarios where people who are betrothed, and we see, spaces where like the Apostle Paul is like, hey, if you're not betrothed, hey, great, live your life full of purpose. Well, the thing is, when you say, if you, subscribe to either one of those things, and in our scenario, we would be in line with living your life full of purpose as Christ. Okay, well, if you're doing that, you probably have a rather fulfilled existence. You know what I'm saying? So when someone comes to that, I think you have to handle it with a certain type of, care and consideration and compassion. So I don't know. That's my perspective. And if someone was 19 to 25, there are a couple practical things I would say to the brother. Like, one, do you know who you are? And it doesn't matter what you have. Like, do you know who you are? That's the number one thing. If you're good with that, then do you have practical things in place to support yourself so that no one can come in your space and try to make you a project? Nah, forget that. You prioritize yourself and make yourself a project, and then get to some of the basic things that you want. Then I think, if that's solidified, then enjoy yourself. And I mean it in the most like Christian based way. Like, enjoy. Don't put any extra pressure on yourself, because as we can see right now, particularly if you are, Black or American Black male, there's enough pressure, man. Forget that. There's enough pressure.
Yeah.
So that's what I think. I don't know.
I could not agree anymore. I could not possibly agree anymore, Cedric. I think the purpose of dating is to grow. You learn as much as you are learning about a.
Would you say to do what? Is to do what?
To grow. To grow.
Oh, okay.
The purpose of dating is to grow. As much as you are learning about another person, about their needs, about their personality, about their goals, about what they like to do, what makes them laugh, you're also learning about yourself. You need to have an identity for yourself, but that identity cannot be, I am someone's boyfriend, I am someone's girlfriend. No, first and foremost, I am a person. I have a relationship with myself. I have a relationship with God. I have goals. What are your goals? What are you about? Because I do want to enjoy myself. I want to enjoy your company. First and foremost, I want to be your friend, your best friend, and then more. Let that grow. Let that lead into something. But as we're growing together, we're also growing individually. I'm growing as a person. I'm finding out more about who I am, with the hope that as I learn and develop, eventually I want a relationship that leads to marriage. I think for me, I want to date to marry. I'm not going to look at any or every woman that I think is attractive as my wife, but I definitely want to enter dating with the intention of commitment or eventually being married in the future.
Yeah. That's interesting.
And I think that's important to know. I think I agree a lot with what both Cedric and Joshua are saying in terms of, I don't like the checkbox from the perspective of, can I get them to fulfill a particular thing, right? I do think that there are certain, so I think Ashley referred to it as a 6'5" versus a 6 foot person, right? I think there are certain attributes that we all are attracted to or look for, or I wanted someone who loved travel, who enjoyed family, who had a really strong family background. Like, those were things that were important. I think it's important to know those things as just things that are important to you. But I think when you start trying to fit somebody into this ideal, right, this space, and say, okay, he's got this, a job, he's got this, then it gets a little muddy. I also think that there's this stage approach to it, right? When I was younger, in my undergrad time, I wasn't dating thinking about marriage. I was 19. I knew that I had a goal. I wasn't marrying anybody until after I graduated from undergrad. So there was no point in me dating someone for marriage at that time. But I did love having a good time. And if that meant, today I went out with John, next week I went out with Mark, that to me was fun.
Did your father know that?
Yeah, Yes, he does. Thank you very much. He does. He does. But I like to enjoy, to me, it was about developing friendships, understanding that there are a variety. Who would I know who I fit with? I couldn't go based on people I liked in high school because I didn't know anything in high school. It was who I was around at the time. If we took classes together, then you might have been, and you were, I love the way you said that, aesthetically pleasing. There was some aspect of you that was physically attracting, then great, you were a great candidate. But when you got to college or into your professional role, you got to see I moved to a whole different state. I saw a whole different type of person. So I think dating so seriously early I don't favor it. I think you need to be clear. If that is your intention to be serious, then you need to say that. Because I think that's where that checking for me comes in, right? That's something I kind of hit on earlier. That concept of wanting to know where you are at all times usually indicates a mismatched expectation or rules for engagement.
Yes.
How I'm wanting to date you is different than how you're approaching dating, right? When my husband and I started out dating, it literally was, let's be friends. Now, I was very attracted to him. I had been peeping him out for a while, but I didn't know him and I didn't want to get hurt. So my thing was, let's take it slowly. Let's get to know each other and have fun. And that's what we did. He talked about other girls. I talked about other guys. Like, it was fun and free until we realized, I'm actually liking only to talk to you. And then I want to talk to you more. And then I want to talk to you more. And then we had to have what I called a DTR. Define
the relationship. Yes.
What are we doing here and where are we going? Right? And that then took it up a notch. Now it was, okay, I'm going to date you exclusively. And here are the terms of what that means for both of us. How we interact with other people. What is the line of respect? How does that work? Right? What are our rules for engagement now that we defined it? And I don't think we do a lot of that defining of the relationship. So we grow at different levels in relationship during dating. Like, I'm all serious, seeing wedding bells and going to try on dresses, and you're still back kicking it, trying to figure out what you want to do. Yeah. So that's what I would say. Your purpose needs to be clear based on what stage of life you're in.
I totally.
Before you jump in, I didn't hear anything from the ladies about dating. Ashley and Eric.
Because they pushed it back to the end after I removed that part from the question.
Exactly.
Erica, do you want to go first?
I agree with what Leah has said, and I have always been a firm believer that whatever you're going to do, whether it be a friendship, a dating relationship, whether you're talking about marriage, those kind of things, date with a purpose and know what your purpose is. Define the relationship. You just don't want to go through life and just be like, have two people who are, like Leah said, one is thinking marriage and then one is not. Make sure that you establish what you are up front. If you're just going to be friends and go out to the movies, that's wonderful to have that kind of companionship. Or if it is going to be the type of relationship where you do go to premarital counseling, those kind of things. So just date with the purpose and define what your purpose is.
Yes, which means communicating. Learn how to communicate and learn that other person's communication style, because you want to listen to understand. I know personally for me, like the stereotype is guys are oblivious. Like, the woman is sending all these hints and the guy is just not getting it. I don't want that to be the case, but just in general, I would say I can kind of be an oblivious person, if we're being honest. But if you listen to someone to understand them and see where they're coming from, then their intentions and goals will be clear to you. But you have to communicate that. You can't operate out of assumption, or you're bound to disappoint or be disappointed.
Yeah.
So don't mismanage their expectations.
Okay. So let me say, because I'm reading this question, he's a male from 19 to 25. So we're going to talk about today. You think about it from his perspective. What is the true purpose of dating? So even for me, as I look and think about how difficult it is to date, because social media is such a big thing right now. You are looking at men who are looking at other women who have gotten their body done or in some type of way, shape, or form, if you will. A lot of these women are very promiscuous. They don't have any clothes on. They're dating men with a ton of money, whether it be a drug dealer or whatever the case you want to call them. Let's just keep it real. Probably is a lot of times they're drug dealers, whatever the case is, because they're into fast money. And I think that for even just as a man or his age, it's hard to really understand what the true purpose of dating is, because look at what's around you. It's easy for me to go for this girl because she's probably going to do this compared to some other girl who is having standards, who loves the Lord, who is, a true believer. It's easier to go this way and get what I want than from this girl. So you're in this like vicious cycle of, this is what I see, but I want this, but I don't want that right now. I'd rather wait. So now you have these other women who are just sitting here like, okay, what am I going to do? How do you even think I'm going to date? And not all men are like that. So then you have that category if they're trying to figure out, well, how do I get to this girl? Because I may not have enough money. My car may not be right. I may not live in my own place. Like there's so many different factors that I think in today that we are really facing, that it poses a really big question about what is it, why do I want to date? I think you're dating because you're trying to collect some data about that other person and really see what is it that you like, what you don't like, something you may enjoy. And Leah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think people start dating and they feel like, oh, that's my spouse. I think men do things too quick for women. I don't know why I'm paying your bills. I don't know why I'm always repairing for your car. All these things like paying your rent. If your girlfriend is not making her rent payment for consecutive months, then that's a problem. But they overlook those things because of how she looks, or whatever the case is. And that's really what we're facing. We're struggling. Like I feel like social media is such a big deal right now, but people do too much too fast. So then I'm dating this NBA player. Who's going to want to just date this regular Joe Schmo? You have no money. You can't fly me these places. And these girls are getting flued out, as they say, on these like private jets. They're going to basketball games. I mean, I could tell you stories, girls that I know who have been with NBA players who are married. They're like, oh, I don't care. I'm not going to date you. You're some regular Joe Schmo. You have no money. That's what it comes down to. You have no money. So it makes it very difficult, and it's trying to really undo all of currently what we're learning. So even for him, I can imagine he's just like, what is the true purpose of really dating? Because look at what I'm surrounded with compared to, what I want. But I think you just have to kind of collect the data first and see what is it that you want to do.
Yeah.
Well, also, Sister Leah said this thing about like defining the relationship, which is really important. I tell my younger cousins this because we're talking. I love the idea that you mentioned stages because that will help you. I think if you define yourself, it will be helpful for you to. That will help you in defining all of your relationships, like friendships, romance, camaraderie, association, all of that. And so I encourage my younger cousins to be a little bit more patient, because I feel as though, check out stuff about adult adolescence, and I feel like I'm trying not to dominate the time, but it's hard to say this quickly. I used to have really long hair, right? And so I had to go to a cosmetologist, and I was surrounded by these conversations with women. I think I cut my hair around 24-ish, but from the time I had this hair sitting in those spaces, I think that younger women get a stronger rearing or education about life, period. Because sitting in that beauty salon, I heard so much and learned so much. And from sitting in the barbershop too, because you still got to get a lineup.
Yeah.
It's not quite the same. I think Michelle Obama said we like rear our girls, and we don't do the same thing for our guys, right? It's kind of a different scenario. So I try to encourage my cousins to like really take a little bit more time because a 25-year-old woman may be a little more advanced in terms of who they are than a 25-year-old man. It's
Right.
19, forget about it. Like,
Right.
it's not going to happen, you know? So be comfortable with that, you know? Like, to me, the most important thing from that 19 to 25, I would say, you please know who you are and what you intend to do. And if you really want to be on top, set up just 1 or 2 steps in doing that. You know, I think the other thing is, like, I don't know how to say this either, but when I'm talking to them, I say, like, you have to learn how to deal with the kryptonite. So, you know, back in the day, Christopher Reeves, right? There was a Superman, right? So, like, he was amazing. I'm talking about could spin the earth around, could do everything. But there was like this one thing, the kryptonite would just break dude down. Like, it didn't matter what he was doing, who he was fighting. When that green stuff came out, I mean, and he was very dramatic, you know, he would just like completely lose it. He could be flying and drop out of the middle of the air. I think if we could learn how to communicate with women beyond their beauty, it gives you such an enormous amount of power over yourself. Like Pastor Tillman used to always tell me, like, you know, in order to be in control, you have to be in control.
Yeah.
So it's like if young brothers could, if we could figure out how to have a conversation with you, acknowledge like, yo, you are so beautiful, I'm about to pass out, but don't let that govern how I deal with you. Right. That is critical. Because to Josh's point, when he was talking about this reputation we get of being oblivious, it's not that we're oblivious. The women don't get it. It's just that when we look at you, something happened. Abraham was like, yo, you are so fine. If they find out you're my wife, they're gonna kill me just looking at you. Looking at you. Let's stop playing. You see what I'm saying? Like, so there's something to that. You know what I mean? I don't know exactly what it is. It's not my area. I don't deal with, you know, studies of the brain, but there's something to that. So I feel like if we could learn how to communicate with you all and get beyond the beauty, like acknowledge it because it's real, but be able to learn how to hold conversation, I think it would do us better. You know, later on, like by the time you hit MySpace, you're much more equipped. And then the last thing I tell them, and I would say to again the fella 19 to 25 is, this is the hardest one, I think, particularly for this generation, but like get around as many old dudes as possible, because, you know, the Bible talks about the hoary haired man. Like they're gonna drop so many nuggets on accident. You know, like it's the blessing of hanging with certain, you know, like Uncle Howard. It's like it's the blessing of like, you know no, but it's like, you know, I still pull from, even though I'm in a very interesting city like New York and almost reckless when it comes to dating, I can still pull from conversations at lunch with, you know, Pastor Tillman, Graylin, and Deacon Melvin. Just conversation, you know, they're dropping little nuggets here or there. It's when you know, I'll shut up on this point, but this is in line with hanging around more seasoned people. I remember one time we were going out of town somewhere, and it was Brother Graylin, Pastor Tillman, his wife, and I were in a vehicle, and Lady Tillman wanted her hat in a specific place, or she didn't want it. I'm sorry, she didn't want it sitting in a certain place, and Brother Graylin was like, "Oh, hey, it's no big deal. It's not going to bother anything," and he took her hat and sat it on a certain place in the vehicle. Pastor Tillman said absolutely nothing. He just went and grabbed his wife's hat and kept it with him. And I was like, haha, you know, like that was a nugget for me. Like, that's her brother, cool, all that. But this is my wife. So I'm going to prioritize treating her a certain way. So I just feel like those 3 things are really important, to the 19 through 25-year-old. Like, if you can prioritize yourself as much as possible, because we're a little behind. Socially and economically and those kind of things. That's just the way it is. But if you can prioritize yourself a little bit, get your footing, learn how to communicate with women, like while you're dating, be able to see that they're beautiful, but like control yourself, and then be around some seasoned people, I think it helps everything else. Yeah. You know, so
You
I'm sorry,
know,
I didn't mean to dominate that time.
No, that was good.
That was good.
good.
But I think we'll close on this because we're over time. But I think the good part, what I was hearing was what Cedric was saying, that I do believe that men are behind because there's not enough time being given to men where they're able to move from boys to men. There's so much emphasis put on ladies. There's no offense against you guys, but you guys are getting more attention. The guys are not getting any attention. And that's why you can't find them, because nobody's giving them any attention. Nobody's taking time to develop them. Nobody's really taking time to give them, infuse them with information and empowerment that allows them. I always say this: God made us not to be princes. He made us to be kings.
Mm-hmm.
He made us to be kings because he said, in the beginning, I give you dominion. So what did he have in mind? He had in mind kings. But how do Black men learn how to be kings?
That's right.
They're not taught. They're not developed. They're not trained to do that. So society is not this. Society, we're paying a price for that not being a part of our culture. So I would hope that somehow people that's hearing this will understand men need to be given, boys need to be given as much attention or even more than even the ladies are. Because in the end, they are, I think, a dominant part of making a community a better community. Not to say it's not females, but strong men, committed men, respectful men, men who treat women the way they should be treated and treat them like ladies, treat them like fine china. That goes a long ways to change a community.